All right, so this is Chris from Newton, and today we're going to take a look at the business school admissions process and what components are involved and which ones are a little more important that you're going to want to spend more time focusing on. So we're going to show you a list here, and let's take a look through 7 of the most important factors in the admissions process. So the first one is college grades, and then you have essays. So these are the application essays. Some schools have 1, some schools have up to 7 or 8, so it's going to take a varying time depending on which schools you're applying to. We have the GMAT essay grades, so that's the AWA, your analytical writing assessment on the GMAT itself. Then, of course, the main GMAT score, that's the 200 to 800 point score that you hear about. Median is around 520. Then you have the interview. Now, if you get through to the second process of the admissions cycle at schools, they'll often ask you to come on campus. So that interview is an important process there. Then you have recommendations, and you go through the recommendations with professors that you may have had, most often colleagues, supervisors, professional contacts that you have that can speak to your character, your ability, your knowledge, your skill set, and then work experience. So let's talk about these 7 and which ones are the most important. So we have 2 categories here. We have most important and we have important. So let's see what is most important. So your work experience is by far the #1 thing that business schools are going to take a look at. It's so important because when you get to business school, they don't want you to be a blank slate. You have to bring some knowledge and skills to the table because most schools use what is called the CASE method. And the CASE method is a method of teaching that's kind of Socratic. So you were given a 40, 50-page document that you read the night before class. It goes over some sort of business case, business or a supervisor were confronted with some sorts of decisions about the market, the business, the economics, and then you find out, well, what was it that they did? And then you critique that. So would you have agreed with that decision? Would you have gone a different direction? In order to really apply what you know to class, you have to have experience. You have to have been there and done that. And now, it's not important that all people come from a business background. In fact, schools are looking for a diversity of backgrounds so people can contribute different things. But having something meaningful to say is really important in business schools so that you and your peers get the most out of it. So that is why work experience is very important. In addition, work experience shows on the job, what have you done? What have you applied yourself to? How has your professional career gone? Have you managed it well? Have you taken advantage of opportunities when they've been there? If you've had challenges or difficulties, what did you do after them? What did you learn from them? So work experience is #1. #2 is going to be your GMAT score. Now, the GMAT is a standardized test. It's kind of a nice barometer, a standard that schools can use to compare people that come from all sorts of different backgrounds, countries, walks of life, from different opportunities to say, all right, this is a common measuring bar. How do these people perform in relationship to each other? And then you have the interview. The interview is important because that means you're already through the process to some degree and they like what they saw so far, but now's your chance to really impress upon them who you are, what character you have, and what you're going to bring to the table to make for a really vibrant student community in the next cohort. Now, also important are the essays that you're going to be writing because they're going to demonstrate not only your communication skills, but your thinking, your opinions on matters, your character and your ethical background. They're going to give a little more detail into your work experience as well. College grades are important because they are a measure of what you did the last time you were in school. Now, this is a little difficult because people could have been in school just 2 years ago or they could have been there 20 years ago. So this is a little bit of a mitigating factor. The recency of college grades will kind of determine what their particular importance is for you. Then recommendations. Recommendations are big because there are people that are speaking to you and what you've done before, and they're going to be candid in speaking to the admissions committee about does this person belong in this particular program or in this opportunity. The big thing about recommendations is you want to make sure that they're coming from people who really can speak to your exact ability, to your character. You don't want to have just fancy names, people way high up in the company because you think it's going to impress upon the particular admissions committee. At the end of the day, they've seen letters come from many, many more important people than you could probably put together from senators and presidents and all that kind of stuff. So they're not going to really be impressed by that. What's going to impress them is somebody who can speak candidly and honestly and in a detailed fashion about what it is that you've done in your capacity, in your relationship with them, in your work experience. And then the GMAT essay grades are, definitely the least important thing of all on here. You definitely don't want to bomb them, because that'll raise some red flags, but you're also not going to usher your way into any particular MBA program by just knocking your GMAT essay grades out of the park. Now, we say that the most important are work experience, GMAT score, and interview by far, but the things that you can focus on now are very limited, and pretty much it's limited to the GMAT score and your essays. The interview is in the future, but you can't really do much about that now. You got to focus on these other things before you get there. But for many of you, the college grades are what they are. You can't change them now. And the GMAT score is the one thing where you're being measured commonly against other individuals that you can really knock out of the park now. And again, there's a very tight correlation between GMAT score and acceptance rates and the rankings that you'll see if you look at US News and Financial Times and all that. So those are the things you want to focus on, the business applications process. Good luck, and hope you get into the school you're looking for.